When we think of ancient Egypt, we picture towering pyramids, golden tombs, and mighty pharaohs. But what about everyone else? Today, we're stepping away from kings and gods to explore daily life in ancient Egypt, what ordinary Egyptians ate, how they worked, worshipped, and lived, from sunrise to sunset on the banks of the Nile. Chapter 1: Life along the Nile. The Nile River wasn't just the heart of Egypt, it was the reason civilization existed there at all. Every year, the river flooded, leaving behind rich black soil perfect for farming. Most Egyptians lived near the Nile, in small villages of mud brick homes. The rhythm of daily life followed the river's cycle: flood, planting, and harvest. Men worked the fields, while women managed the home, ground grain, baked bread, and raised children. Chapter 2: Homes and Housing. Egyptian homes were simple and functional, made from sun-dried mud bricks, with flat roofs and few windows to keep out the heat. Furniture was sparse. A few stools, a wooden bed frame with rope netting, and perhaps a reed mat on the floor. At night, families often slept on rooftops to stay cool under the stars. For the wealthy, life was more luxurious, with larger homes, painted walls, gardens, and even private chapels. Chapter 3: What they ate. The Egyptian diet was humble but hearty. Bread and beer were the staples, made from emmer wheat and barley. Bread was often dense, rough, and baked with sand, which wore down people's teeth over time. They also ate onions, leeks, dates, lentils, and fish from the Nile. Meat was rare for commoners but more common among the wealthy and during festivals. And yes, beer was for everyone, even children drank it, though it was more like a thick, fermented porridge than modern beer. Chapter 4: Jobs and Work. Most Egyptians were farmers, but others worked as craftsmen, merchants, priests, or soldiers. There were scribes, highly respected professionals who could read and write hieroglyphics, keeping records for the state. Builders and artisans worked on temples, tombs, and monuments, sometimes as paid labor, sometimes conscripted. Slavery existed, but it wasn't based on race. Most slaves were war captives or people who had sold themselves into labor. Chapter 5: Education and Family Life. Only a small percentage of Egyptians learned to read and write, mainly boys from wealthy families who trained to become scribes or priests. Girls were educated at home, learning domestic skills. Marriage was common by the mid-teens, and family was central to Egyptian identity. Children were cherished, and families often had many. Games and toys have even been found in tombs: spinning tops, dolls, and board games like Senet. Chapter 6: Religion and the Afterlife. Religion shaped every part of Egyptian life. They worshipped a complex pantheon: Ra, Osiris, Isis, Anubis, and many more. Gods were connected to nature, daily life, and the afterlife. People prayed at home and at temples, made offerings, and followed rituals to stay in the gods' favor. Egyptians believed strongly in the afterlife. That's why burial was so important. Even poor families tried to afford some kind of tomb or grave goods for the journey beyond. Chapter 7: Clothing and Cleanliness. Clothing was light and practical, linen garments for both men and women. Wealthier people wore pleated robes, jewelry, and perfume. Hygiene mattered deeply. People bathed daily, shaved their heads to avoid lice, and wore scented oils to smell fresh in the desert heat. Both men and women wore kohl eyeliner not just for beauty, but to protect their eyes from the sun and infections. Daily life in ancient Egypt was a world of contrasts. Between desert and river, rich and poor, life and the afterlife. But no matter their class or job, most Egyptians shared a deep connection to the Nile, their gods, and the cycle of life itself. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient Egypt, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. What part of ancient life should we explore next?